Hmm. Boreal IPA du Nord-Est, or as we all like to call it, bear juice. I wonder, what kind of an effort does it take to squeeze juice out of a bear? I mean, that sounds like it's a very painful process. Never mind the physical repercussions you're going to get when you're trying to go through that whole process, too. I suppose that's a question that's best left unanswered. Welcome to a new edition of the Wandering Ukie Cheese Cafe, where you can actually wear a fedora in the kitchen and still get away with it. You're just going to be accused of having too much style when you're working the sauce. So, another one of my favorite kind of meats to work around with is pork tenderloin. Depending on how you do it, the texture is going to be a very different type of meat compared to others. But when done well, it's a very soft cut, very smooth, and then it also may melt in your mouth if you prepare it well. And one of my favorite discoveries last year was when I was trying to do a recipe for one of my friends' birthdays. I thought, okay, maybe there's a way I could get some garlic or something sweet in there and soft. And it turned out there was a recipe to do a honey butter sauce in the slow cooker. And while that would be a great episode, I want to say that for a little bit later when I'm fully trapped in the house because of -20 weather and risking freezing my you know what's off. So instead, I'm going to do a simple marinade with some pork. And because it's like one of the last grilling weekends I'm going to have left, I'm going to throw that on the barbecue a bit later on, like tomorrow, because this is a 2 day process to do this. And I'll show you exactly why in 1 second. So, the first thing we're going to do is prepare the marinade for the pork. First things you're going to need are a chef's knife with a cutting board, a measuring cup, and a measuring spoon, along with a medium sized mixing bowl. So, what I have in here first is about 2 cloves of minced garlic. They sometimes say 1 clove is enough, but I decided to put two because, as always, I'm Ukrainian. I like to have extra garlic and also get some extra protection because it is Halloween Eve, and you know that there's going to be vampires floating around over here. You got to watch out for yourself. So once you have the garlic all set up, you just need to have a bit of Dijon mustard added in to give it a bit of a kick. Any kind of Dijon will do, even like a no-name brand, because you don't want to have it too fancy. You just need something that'll mix well. I have in here about 3 tablespoons worth, and with that, I am going to mix it into the bowl. Wonderful. Your next basic ingredient for this is going to be a 1/4 cup of olive oil. Yeah, I kind of like the smell of olive oil too. Great flavor. This is the part that takes a bit of patience because, it takes a little while to get the olive oil flowing out of this bottle. You want to make sure you ration it properly instead of wasting it like a fool. There. That's a 1/4 cup. Let's get that in. And then the next one is actually a pretty common ingredient in a lot of the recipes I've seen. Soy sauce, and this takes about a 1/4 cup of that. Which, for me, when I first saw that, I thought, this can't be serious. Because, with soy sauce, you can get a lot of sodium in this. Some of the regular ones can go about 1,000 to 1,300 milligrams, and that to me just sounds asinine. And I've got the low sodium one, so it's going to be 800. So that means it's less of a poison. But I suppose all things considered, once it's mixed up with the rest of the meat, you're not going to notice it because it's all spread out. My other recipe I found calls for a bit of salt and pepper in order to add some taste to it, but something tells me I'm going to avoid doing the salt. Because it means there's already plenty of sodium in here to begin with. I'm just glad they don't say put this amount of salt in it, because I guess they want you to use your best judgment on it. In other words, how much more salt can you put without it becoming a lethal dosage? And nobody needs to get sued, not in this day and age. So you just mix this up, and then you let it sit. Yeah. Okay, not a bad smell. Basic, but it serves its purpose. And then once you're done with this, you add it to your pork. Well, I got the pork set up right now. You would need about 2 pounds of pork tenderloin to get this stuff done, which from my experience is around two pieces of tenderloin in here. Something you can find is dirt cheap in grocery stores. Like this one I picked up last week at Maxi for about $6, which is actually pretty inexpensive compared to sometimes I've seen this. And this was like one of those that was vacuum packed, so yes, it was well preserved until I was ready to get this done. So once that's ready, all you gotta do is add the marinade in it and then give it a good massage. I'm kind of glad I didn't put that extra salt in here, because you know what? As much as I enjoy my salty pig, there is such a thing as too much of a good thing. Too much salt on pig action is no-go for a lot of reasons. Just dump it in here. Make sure you get every single runoff that's inside. There, it's inside. Then you just want to seal it up properly. And then make sure that you massage it pretty well. You know, you gotta handle your meat properly when it comes to marinade. And you will only need to do this for like an hour before cooking, but you know what? I'm gonna let it do overnight to get maximization of flavor and tastiness. Yeah, I did a variation of this last year too. That one was a little less soy sauce, a bit more like apple cider vinegar, and especially it used a bit of whiskey in there too. It didn't turn out so bad either. And of course, whenever you're doing things with whiskey, make sure you're using an inexpensive one or something like a Jack Daniels. You don't want to use an expensive scotch for that kind of stuff. If it requires a quarter cup, that's a lot already. So once this is done, just sit in the fridge for a minimum of an hour before cooking, or in my case, we're going to wait until the next day to start to cooking this sucker. A little under 24 hours later, and this meat has been really marinated well. So it's time to get this all cooked up. Oh, I'm sure you're wondering what's up with my grotesque appearance. Well, there's a funny story to that I can explain. On second thought, that just raises more questions. I guess I don't have an explanation. Well, I guess easiest thing I could say is that once a year, this demon has to come out. But nevertheless, it's time to get this fired up. I'm gonna do a little grilling. It's a nice, cool, sunny day. Take advantage of that while we still can. So let's start the inferno. And now, it's time for me to start up the fire over here. Let's get this inferno started. And now we got a nice fire burning, and I figured I'd like to take this time to make a toast, by which I mean a little burning toast, to a few things we all want to go to hell. The year 2020, COVID, burn in hell. The zombie apocalypse, toilet paper, because we all know my feelings about that. Thriller, a second thought, Thriller is awesome. And finally, etc., etc., etc. Nice burning flame, everyone. And it's time to start a nice little Halloween brew. So what I have over here is another one from one of my favorite brewers, the Four Origins. And this one is called Nightmare. It's a nice pumpkin porter, about 5.7%. And to give you a bit of background, this was actually the very I want to say the very first beer I had from them when I discovered, oh no, not discovered because I had friends that told me about it, but the first time I went to the brewer itself, oddly enough, it was like 2 years ago around this time. They had this one on tap, and it was amazing. Now, how do you make it? Well, all you do is you let a couple of pumpkins lay out in the sun, you let them rot and ferment in their own juices, and then once you're done, you just squeeze it, and it becomes a nice, delicious, rancid pumpkin juice. So much for that. Happy Halloween, everyone. And I suppose you're wondering what tasty treats are going to be on the menu tonight. Well, I've got 3 batches of aluminum foil with my patented potato fries. I'm sure if you saw my previous videos, you know how to make that. If not, look at the corner and you'll see a link to it. That's better. So this time the only thing I've done differently is I've added some curry powder to this to give it a nice Middle Eastern taste to it. Curry in small doses can be an amazing meal. This has been cooking for like a good 15-20 minutes. You need at least half an hour for this to cook well. But because of my sticks representing what I want to go to hell, this fire is burning really well. Seriously, this is the most ember I've had in who knows how long. So let this go on, and then eventually we'll get onto the pork, and then the vegetables. Because no matter what you do with salty pig, with stolen potatoes, you need to have your nutrients first and foremost. Yeah, the devil incarnate is telling you to eat your vegetables. What is wrong with this world these days? So let's have a look-see. Well, potatoes are looking to be in good shape. So I'll move this over and make a bit of room to have my salty pig added onto this. This is going to take about a good 15-20 minutes to do. So then I'm just going to take this off and then lay it onto the grill. And because it's all juicy and moist, it's going to probably light it on fire. Come on, baby, light my fire. Thought it was Jim Morrison for a second. I mean, if I could dance with the devil, then I could be possessed by ghosts of dead celebrities. Voila. So we'll do that. Let it cook. Of course, there's all this extra marinade that's left over here. What can you do with it? Well, throw it in a pot. You can cook it up. That way you can get all of the germs and have this all, safe enough for consumption. Then you could feed it into a soda stream, add some carbon, and voila. You got some pork soda waiting for you. Yep. Eat your heart out, Primus. And so, while I'm waiting for my pork to cook up, I think I'm going to need a round 2. And this is one that when I drink it, I'm going to want to say, quote the raven, and just pray that I don't have a raven that's in the form of Bart Simpson just standing on my porch and saying nevermore, because then I'll really be driven insane. It's a one that's from a brewer called La Pécheresse, and it's a New England IPA called Monsieur Poe, based on Edgar Allan Poe, of course. But I was thinking about this one when I saw it, and I felt like I needed to have it. Because I'll show a bit of a history for me. This label over here, and actually a lot of the labels of this brewer, was designed by an old staff that I work with at HMV, who had sadly passed away last year. And I remember that day specifically, because the day that we got the news about it, that was the day before I was supposed to be flying off to Italy on vacation. So I kind of felt like I had a heavy heart at that point, just knowing the news. It's like 29 years old and already gone. That's way too young to be gone. And then when I was walking, it was in Milan that I went through the cathedral there, the Duomo, that Gothic church that everyone knows about. There was an area there that, like in most churches, that they have a few candles that if you want, you could give a donation and light one. And kind of as a tribute, I was still thinking about him at that time. So I lit a candle for him, and for a few other people that had passed on that year, among other people that I was thinking about. Yeah, the devil gets emotional sometimes too. What can he say? I think he needs to indulge in the IP to ease his soul. Yep, hoppy and fruity, just like just like an IPA should be. So, let's take a look at how this is doing. Stolen potatoes and salty pig. What a beauty. So I'm just going to give us a little flip. It's been about a good 10 minutes. You need about 15 to 20 minutes to get this cooked properly. One trick that I learned is that you don't necessarily have to have it completely cooked well. Apparently you can just have a small center in the tenderloin pinkish and it's fine. Obviously you don't want to have the whole thing pink because then you're just opening a can of worms for yourself. In a literal sense, I suppose. But just a tiny bit in the center, you're fine. It'll still be cooked juicy. I like the scent of this thing. Kind of stoked to have it now. Alright, potatoes should be ready soon. I gotta get my vegetables started. Okay, I'm kind of coming to a conclusion over here. When you're nearsighted and you're trying to do a Halloween costume that doesn't require glasses, it's a nightmare at night. Okay, much better. Yeah, at least I have some black makeup, so it's going to blend in pretty well. So now I can actually see what the hell I'm grilling in here. Potatoes look like they're going to be doing pretty well. And the pork, I'm probably going to switch it around because I got a better flame on this side than on the left. And the potatoes, yeah, they're okay. Then next up will be some eggplant. Because I'm starting to love this kind of stuff. Avocado oil thrown into the juices and then set on fire. Actually, everything tastes better when it's set on fire. Am I right? Salty pig, potatoes, charred cow, oily bird, bodacious fish. That's not a thing, is it? There's only one way to find out if these potatoes are ready. That's a taste test. On one hand, they're soft and tender. On the other hand, my tongue's burning. My tongue's burning. Oh. Okay, I'll admit, that was dumb as fuck. So, yeah, these potatoes are more than ready, which gives me enough room to get the eggplant on. Now that I got most of the fries in the container, some still stuck on the aluminum foil, I can deal with that later. That gives me enough room to get the eggplant on. And I think the pork is going to be just about ready too. And I'm not going to oil it up this time. I'm just going to let it stew on the salty pig juices. That'll get the job done. Huh. I've got more than usual. Okay, back up. A little less than half the eggplant is done. Now I'm going to let that simmer up. Oh shoot, I'm at 150 degrees. Better start a fire again. Well, I guess it's time to take off the tenderloin. Oh! Almost lost me salty pig. Help, help, they're after me Lucky Charms. Wait, I'm getting things mixed up again, aren't I? Ugh. Even when I'm a demon, I'm still cheesy as fuck. Ooh, that pig is sizzling well. Anyways, my backup plan is to use a little bit of avocado oil, which I did not use originally, thinking that this is going to get the job done to get that flame roaring again. So let's add a little bit to each of these sides. Oil up some veggies. I wish I had a funny expression right now, but I think I'm once again in a Monty Python sketch. You know those kind of sketches that don't seem to have a punchline and then they just end all out of nowhere? But that's what makes them awesome. You don't need a punchline, you don't need to have a setup, and especially if it doesn't play against the laugh track, then you're better than that. Okay, let's see how this works out. That was just my speaker. I don't have a Pac-Man machine around here. Actually, I might have enough room to get the rest of the eggplant on this. Let's try it. Tell me, who exactly is going in the end of October, and it's nighttime grilling shit? Who am I kidding? I know there's people out there who are going to be grilling around January, February when it's super cold. Do what you got to do. Or as some people would say, you do you. Because we all got to do ourselves sometimes. Yep, phrasing. Okay, so I was able to fit 4 more slices, and the rest of this looks like it's going to take a little bit more time. I'm guessing I could use this as a backup just in case during the week. Ah, well. Now let's oil this up. Well, it's been a few minutes. Let's see how this is looking. Not as much smoke. Man, how come I'm feeling a bit disappointed? Figured it was going to be greased up well enough. Well, I suppose whatever is going to be, whatever I have as cooked right now, it's as good as it's going to get. The rest I'll keep as a backup for an extra meal. So let's get this all together and let's have our pièce de résistance. We're now in my chamber, ready to enjoy the salty pig that's been grilled up. Let's give this a taste test. Super tender. And the mustard soy sauce oil gives it a really good flavor. So overall, highly recommended. And definitely worth doing the next time. Now I'm going to finish this up, and then I think I've reached a point that I need to find like a tub full of holy water, or most likely a priest to conduct an exorcism. But until then, I'm going to enjoy embracing the dark side as much as I can. So thanks for watching, everyone. This is the Wandering Ukie Cheese Cafe signing off. If you like what you see, hit the subscribe button, hit the like, leave a comment, and if you have any special requests, you know exactly where to find it. Happy Halloween, everyone.